Good morning to you, Nigel. We do appreciate you speaking to us. I know you've just jumped off your plane. Are the White House worried? Because it certainly, from reading all the headlines, looks very worrying to us.
Yes, it is very worrying. I mean, look, there are two very clear choices here. One is we allow this maniac to continue developing weapons and getting his nuclear capability. We can stand aside and just let him do it, or we can do what Trump is doing, which he's trying to get the international community together to say to North Korea, so far and no further. And, you know, to some extent, he's been successful. The United Nations Security Council unanimously voted at the weekend to put tough sanctions on North Korea. But look, I don't like this any more than you do. But, you know, back in the 1930s, we just allowed Hitler to go on and on and on. And there's a very strong argument. If we'd stopped him sooner, tens of millions of lives would have been saved.
Well, indeed, that is one argument. Lots of experts, I know you're not a fan of experts generally, but lots of experts on North Korea argue that actually he's never going to take any military action. North Korea isn't really interested in war. What they're interested in is being seen as powerful, and by rising to the bait every time, Donald Trump, and taking the language and the rhetoric ever higher, we're getting into a scary situation where almost someone might feel they have to act rather than just ignoring, going quietly and trying to deal with it diplomatically.
Well, I understand that argument, but let's be clear that what Kim has done is he has given a direct threat that he may well hit Guam, a US territory.
Interestingly, though, Nigel, you have to say at some point something's got to give. You worry where that side's going to come from. Will it be Donald Trump and the Americans? Will it be Kim Jong-un and something that he suggests he's going to do? As he has said, they're talking about bombing Guam. What is going to be that moment? What is the point where we reach where the balance goes one way or the other?
Well, I genuinely do not think that Trump will act militarily unless Guam is attacked. And I think what Trump will try to do is to work on the whole international community, China, Russia, the United Nations, and I do believe that if America does take military action, it will do it as part of a force of nations acting together to stop somebody who I think is the biggest threat to world peace we've seen for decades.
Many are very frightened by Donald Trump, his actions, though, and think he is threatening peace. Even some of the people in Washington didn't know that he was going to ratchet up the words he used, did they? And were flurrying and rushing around, trying to see how they could make that a policy. So I guess who should we be most frightened of?
Look, I don't think you should be frightened of Donald Trump. He is not a warmonger. He genuinely wants the world to be a better place. And I know, you know, I've been in Washington for the last few days. I've spent time in the West Wing with the people there. You know, they are doing this, they are saying these things because they are genuinely worried about the threat that North Korea poses. Well, again, we're back to the same argument. You know, just as Vince Cable can't accept the result of the Brexit referendum, Al Gore and many others in Washington and across the USA simply can't reconcile themselves with the fact that Trump won this election last year. Trump made it clear. He was voted in as US president saying that the Paris Climate Accord was a bad deal for America and that he would get a better deal. So he's withdrawn from Paris, and but he hasn't said that's forever. He said he wants to renegotiate. So I'd say both to Mr. Gore and to Mr. Cable, please, you know, democracy doesn't always work just because you get the result you want. Sometimes you have to accept that another view has prevailed.
OK, Nigel Farage.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.